Alrighty everyone, it is officially episode 1 of the mini build, and I've decided I'm going to do a quick face reveal because I don't think it's sustainable for me to try and keep my face off camera while I'm working on this car. Without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to do on this car today. We're stripping the interior in order to prep for the pedals and the shift linkage I have to install in this car. And we're also going to be measuring out because I'm going to be getting a roll cage for this car. I've decided to save myself the time and the money of basically getting a tube bender and everything and cutting and bending right off the rip. Those are probably tools that we'll get down the run, but right now I can actually spec a kit for this car, order it, and have it shipped to me, and that is more sustainable. So that's what we're going to be doing. The engine should be coming in another video soon. I officially got the confirmation on the shipping, so stay happy for that. Alright, step 1 of this build is I need to rip those seats out. In order to do that, I actually have basically nothing to do because the guy that had this car before me had already unbolted them. So it's as easy as we just literally open the door and pull the seats out. I love old cars because they're built like tanks. Love that. But yeah, no, taking these seats out is real complicated. I will say, I don't know how well you guys can see this, they're actually pretty cool seats. They have been somewhat worn. I'm probably going to use these seats at least for a little while in the beginning of the build, simply because that's an area in which I could save money by using these puppies and not going immediately to bucket seats. However, buckets are in the future. I'm definitely going to be going to a full roll cage right off the rip. That's not something I'm willing to compromise with a vehicle that doesn't have airbags, and we're going to be putting in seatbelts. Actually, 5-point harnesses to be specific. So, yeah. I'm just going to stack those seats right off camera for the time being. My plan for organization for this build is, I'm sure most of you guys are probably aware of them. There's these really awesome black tote bins you can get. Some of them have red lids, some have yellow lids for most like hardware stores. I get mine from Home Depot. I'm going to be using those to organize all the parts that come out of this. So if any parts need to go back into it later on in the build, I know where they are. So that's my plan for organization. That's one seat out. I'm going to run to the other side and grab the other one. Second seat is out. And I think you guys can probably see somewhat maybe of what I'm talking about. You can see kind of some of the wear marks on the seats here. It's not terrible, but I would definitely like to get these reupholstered or get some sort of other seats down the road. I do love the look and the style of this interior that this car has though, so I'm definitely going to try and bring some of the aspects of the current interior into whatever interior I end up putting back into the car. I haven't fully decided if I want to keep the thing fully stripped down or if I want to put an interior in it. I may go the route of having an interior in there, but at the same time, part of like the cool aspect of this car is how light it is. So I need to kind of weigh the pros and cons of, do I want it to have that kind of finished fit and feel, or would I rather keep it fully stripped down, kind of race car energy in the trade, you know, getting that extra lightness. Because the power to weight ratio is what makes this car fast. I've seen people before be like, you know, 200 horsepower, whatever, blah, 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 that's slow. That's slow until you put it in a shoebox. Anyone who's ridden a sport bike knows exactly what I'm talking about. You don't need a lot of horsepower, you just need something that's light. So that's part of what's going to make this car fast. Now that we've gotten those seats out, the interior immediately starts to open up. I think what I'm going to do is try and throw the camera in the back seat of this car and then set a light similar to that and try and cast it down so that you guys can see what's going on in there. Because unfortunately, I don't have the best lighting in this garage right now. It's something that I'm working on, but we're working with what we got right now. So I'm going to try and get that situated, and we'll cut to that. All right, so welcome to my Mini. This car's tiny. So as far as carpeting goes, unfortunately, like I said, the lighting setup isn't the best, but this is what we're going to have to do. A lot of this carpeting is simply just glued on, so it's going to be a matter of just me going through and pulling pieces of this out and then just keeping these pieces. I actually really like kind of the interior, the way it's done here. It's pretty nice, fairly simple, and because of the way the carpeting's done, super lightweight. Also, like, no sound deadening. So we'll see down the road if that becomes a problem or not. But for the time being, we're just going to pull these out. So let's get into it. All right, so to do this piece, which is going to be our basically floorboard lining. It's one section. From my understanding, you basically just slip it up over the shift boot and just kind of work it back from in here, and it should come out in one big piece like this. And as for this rear section, I think it should be a fairly similar process. Yeah, let's just give it another peel on this back. I do need to get a wrench and pull these bolts out real quick. See if this guy works. Alright, that is seatbelt numero uno. Time to do seatbelt number 2. Okay, so now having done that, we should be able to just pull this piece out for the most part. Look at that, it's free. Okay, that leaves us with a better understanding of this car and its tub. To be honest with you, I'm actually quite happy. This car is pretty clean for the most part. There's a couple slight areas of surface rust and stuff that I gotta go through and clean up, but it's pretty solid for these old Minis from what I've been told and from my research online. So, gotta pull all the little bits and pieces out. I think next we're gonna work on some of these firewall carpeting here. So, we're gonna work on that, and then might look at taking this stock shifter out and try and start kind of fitting up our new Acuity one. So let's get into that. That was way easier than I expected. So firewall carpeting 1. So I've run into a slight issue with firewall carpet number 2, which is that it has a zip tie for the speaker wires going through it. So I'm going to grab a pair of clippers real quick and take care of that. Alright, clippers secured. Alright, number 2 is free. Alright, so for the most part, that is the interior of this car stripped out. I honestly may take a look at taking this dash card out, because from what I can tell, there's nothing actually holding it in. Although, now that I say that, no, I was right. It's basically cardboard made to look like leather. Piece 1 out. Alright, now let's do the other side. Alright, I did get this piece out. Unfortunately, I damaged it a little bit, although, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to be reusing this, so it is what it is. Alright, I believe that there's another piece kind of set down into the tray of this dash, so I'm going to pull that out. I also have a couple bags of nuts and bolts and other odds and ends that I got to pull out of there. Okay, upon a little bit of further inspection, pulling the card that basically sits in here out is going to be a little bit of a mess for the moment. I need to do a little bit more research on how to get this out of here properly, because there are some components of this that I don't want to damage. So for now, we've got all the floor carpeting out and stuff. Everything with the tub looks pretty good. On removing this OEM shift linkage first, so we need a Phillips screwdriver to pull out, I think, this shift boot, and then it looks like we need at least 2, what are those, probably 13 or 14 maybe millimeter bolts, possibly to detach this linkage. So first I'm going to get that Phillips and pull those out, and then we'll see where we're at. Phillips screwdriver secured. Alright, that should be it for these screws. Looks like all of them are nicely unfastened, which is handy. So 4 of them screws, going to put those somewhere safe. see if we can get this. Oh yeah, look at that, nice. Okay, cool. So we've got a rubber shift boot with a retainer, and then that's kind of cool. They have a piece of foam under there to help kind of maintain the look of the shift boot. And it looks like we have a little bit of foam down here that would seal this guy in, and then okay, this is really neat. I'm gonna grab the camera so you guys can see this a little bit better, but it's actually a really neat shifter design. And yes, it is only these 2 bolts to drop it down. So what I think that means is I will show this to you. I'm gonna do it outside of the car though, because it's gonna be a little easier than where it is right now. I'm gonna pull these 2 bolts out, which should drop that linkage. I'm probably gonna jack up the front of the car and put it on jack stand so that I can drop this fully. And then I'll pull it out and I'll show it to you guys outside of the car. I'm not sure exactly why, but this was not a 13 or a 14. It is in fact a 1/2 inch, which is a little odd in my opinion, considering this is a European car, but you know what? Hey, that's what it is. It's also possible that an American decided to replace this at some point in time and decided they wanted to switch to different hardware. One side done. Alright, I'm going to put this hardware somewhere safe, and then I'm going to grab the jack this front end up, and we'll work on dropping that shifter. Really quickly before I do that, check out all of this that came out of the car. So we have all of the carpeting here, and then we have our shift linkage. This is that piece of foam that came out, as well as all this and our hardware. It's the stuff that retains it. I'm going to take this car, and I'm going to throw the jacks right under the front end, lift it up, and then try and drop the shifter down and pull it out. Alright, I've thrown jack stands under this thing just as an emergency precaution to make sure that I don't smush myself. So yeah, I'm going to try and push the shift linkage down through the top, as even with this thing lifted in the air, it's still incredibly low to the ground. I don't think I have enough room to easily get underneath to pull it down. So I'm going to try and push it down and then pull it through to the front, because the linkage runs up to the front where the bay is. Well, that was easier than I expected. There was a zip tie holding the front end of the linkage, basically where it would have bolted to the transmission. And my only source of light is about to die, so this is about to get fun. Where it would have bolted to the transmission was zip tied up so that it wouldn't drag along as I rolled the car around and stuff. As soon as I cut that, the whole thing fell out. Apparently that was the only thing holding it up, so this is going to be a little easier than I expected. So in case anyone was wondering what this looked like, a bit of 70s British engineering. This was what I was talking about, and it's a rather cool bit of kit here. So, as you would have actuated this, and see if I can get this to actuate. It's not perfect. That might be stupid, but anyway, yeah. So this is the OEM bit of kit that's coming out of the car. Kind of cool to see. Not something you see every day. So I'm gonna set this off to the side now, and probably go wash my hands because I'm covered in grease, and I don't really want to get grease all over everything. All right, now that that's all done, I'm going to lower the car back down to the ground, and we'll kind of look at the inside of the car and make a little bit of a game plan for what my plan is going forward. All right, the car's back on the ground. Now let's take a look inside. So I'm gonna bring you guys along for this. And let me grab the lights so we can see what's going on inside here. So, I'll pop this puppy open. We have a stripped out car now. So that is where the old shifter linkage used to sit. Got this whole floor pan out. It's honestly really clean. Don't mind the dirt and little bits of kind of surface rust and stuff that I got to vacuum out of here. We also have the dash pulled out now. So this car's getting a little bit more stripped down. Hopefully you guys can kind of visualize where we're going with this. I do have that new linkage to install in there. And then the engine bay is also looking a little more empty now. Again, don't mind this. This is not rust. This is actually, oh, this light's blowing it out, but this is actually old like firewall sealant that is kind of decaying underneath the paint. When I first saw that, I thought it was rust until I kind of inspected it a little bit more and realized that it's actually that kind of like, I don't even know what the term for it is, but basically that glue that they use on chassis from OEM. Alright guys, it is getting late. My light is fading. I need to go to bed because I got an early morning tomorrow. I was just doing this after work while I had a little bit of time. I know this video might not have been as long as I had hoped, or you guys had hoped, and maybe this is just a boring waste of time, but it's something that had to happen. Half of getting the project started is simply just tearing everything down so you have a place to start from, and I think I've torn as much out as I comfortably can. I need to get a couple more jack stands and stuff so I can get the chassis fully off the ground and start taking out the subframe and some other pieces so I can start measuring up. It is a little bit hard until I get the engine and transmission here. I can't do a whole lot with the front end, which is where the majority of the fabrication needs to happen. I still haven't decided if I'm building my own fully custom kind of front end subframe tube chassis hybrid, whatever it ends up being, or if I'm going to try and either get or find and see if someone else has made some sort of subframe or way to adapt what I'm trying to do. Because I'm not the first person to do what I'm doing. However, I want to make the craziest one that's daily driven. So that's my goal. And if you guys like that, follow along, subscribe, because this might be the only one of my videos you guys see. Or, who knows, maybe this video gets buried in the algorithm and you guys see some video way later on when this thing's done. And you guys can skip all the blood, sweat, and tears. But until then, here's a video that the algorithm thinks that you would like. Enjoy that video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.